first question to you is, what are your viewpoints on suicide?
On suicide, my viewpoints on suicide, it's hard. It's hard because it impacts so many different lives in different ways. And talking about teen suicide, it just seems like such a waste. And it's confusing to me that people don't have the viewpoint that there is life. They're young. There's so much life to live, and they can change their outcome by just little things and that they do, and that life is not hopeless. And my viewpoint is, if you have Jesus Christ in your life, then you don't lose that perspective totally. And I know that Christians have committed suicide, and I'm not saying that, but they have a background of that Jesus Christ will help me, and that if you are actually a committed Christian, they know that they can get help by just praying to God. Whether a person here down on earth can help them or not, that's hard to say, but that's my viewpoint on suicide.
Okay, why might someone commit suicide?
I don't know. I think a lot of people are of the viewpoint that their life is hopeless, and that there's no place better to go, and that nobody loves them or appreciates them, knows them. That's my viewpoint on it, but I don't know. I've not personally known somebody that committed suicide, so I don't know what their viewpoints were either.
And how should you approach someone thinking about suicide?
Well, you have to know that they're going to do that. It's hard to approach anybody. It's just, I think the way that we can help more people around us, and you kids can help each other around each other, is being positive. And yeah, you can joke with each other, but don't be mean about it. You have to be positive, and you have to know your friends and know that their temperaments and what they're going through. And if you see a difference, then you need to call them up and say, hey man, what's going on? Let's have lunch, or let's go do something tonight, and then maybe you can get more insight into what's going on in their life, because they may be having big, huge things that maybe our family doesn't experience. I said, we're lucky, in the fact that our family has a mom and dad and doesn't have, divorced family, and it doesn't have step kids and things like that, and that all plays into each child's way they view themselves and their self-esteem.
I mean, say that you did know that they were going to commit suicide, or they were thinking about it. How do you think you could impact their life?
I think it's interesting because in our society today we have Facebook and we have Twitter and we have all these avenues, and people blog and they put things on there, so you know more of what they're thinking on an everyday basis. And so if you see somebody that has put something questionable on there, well, you don't know whether they're joking or whether they're serious, and you just need to bring that. I think each of us need to bring that to the attention of somebody else that's maybe a parent, a counselor or something, and go talk to them, just because what if they were serious and you didn't do something? And so you kind of have to step up on your own, and that's hard for kids to do, and because you feel like you're ratting your friend out or whatever if you go say something to somebody, but this is serious, and children are losing their lives because they don't see any hope in our future. And God has given us so much hope in our future, so that's what I think about.
Say, how could you cope with suicide?
Coping's hard, and every family has to cope with it differently. And I think people go through denial at first, and it's just like, I was talking to a mom just recently that has lost her son to suicide, and I don't know her well, but I just told her I was praying for her, and she said, I can tell. And so that's awesome that she does feel our prayers. And I was asking how her other child was feeling and how that child was doing with her her sibling's suicide, and she said, well, she was in denial and really didn't believe it at first, and now she's getting to the mentality that she knows that they're not coming back, and so they're just trying to deal with it. So I think coping is all different for every family. I hope they would go get Christian counseling, and I would hope that their friends are rallying around them and praying with them, because it's devastating to a family.
How has your life been impacted by suicides around you?
You know, growing up, I can't remember anybody really of my friends or even kids that went to school with me that committed suicide. I know that my husband's, one of his friends' brothers committed suicide, and that was really hard for the family, but they got through it and they worked through it, and I see them all the time, and they've dealt with it in their own way. I don't know what that way would be, but they've dealt with it. But it's just hard, because it's hard for me being a mom of a teenager, and it just, y'all have so much to live for, and you have so much opportunity out there, and you're 15, 16, 17 years old, and your whole life is in front of you. You can change anything bad that's going on today. You can change it tomorrow if you want, by just working through it, and talk to your parents, and go to them or talk to your friends, if you're feeling down or you feel like you can't get through it and you're discouraged, because everybody gets discouraged. It's not just y'all. I do. Everybody does. And we just have to rely on knowing our faith in God can pull us through, and that He's there for us each and every day.
Well, we really appreciate your time today, and thank you for everything.